Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to Art Class with Mr. Mazer. This week, in honor of springtime in Texas, we're going to read The Legend of the Bluebonnet, which is our state flower, the beautiful bluebonnet here. And after that, we're going to add some printed bluebonnets on top of our beautiful paintings that we did last week. So, here we go. The Legend of the Bluebonnet. Great spirits, the land is dying. Your people are dying too. The long line of dancers sang, "Tell us what we have done to anger you. End this drought. Save your people. Tell us what we must do so you will send the rain that will bring back life." For 3 days, the dancers danced to the sound of the drums, and for 3 days, the people called Comanche watched and waited. And even though the hard winter was over, no healing rains came. Drought and famine are hardest on the very young and the very old. Among the few children left was a small girl named She Who Is Alone. She sat by herself watching the dancers. In her lap was a doll made from buckskin, a warrior doll. The eyes, nose, and mouth were painted on with the juice of berries. It wore beaded leggings and a belt of polished bone. On its head were brilliant blue feathers from the bird who cries JJJ. She loved her doll very much. Soon, She Who Is Alone said to her doll, "The shaman will go off alone to the top of the hill to listen for the words of the great spirits. Then we will know what to do so that once more the rains will come and the earth will be green and alive. The buffalo will be plentiful and the people will be rich again." As she talked, she thought of the mother who made the doll of the father who brought the blue feathers. She thought of the grandfather and the grandmother she had never known. They were all like shadows. It seemed long ago that they had died from the famine. The people had named her and cared for her. The warrior doll was the only thing she had left from those distant days. "The sun is setting," the runner called as he ran through the camp. "The shaman is returning." The people gathered in a circle, and the shaman spoke. "I have heard the words of the great spirits," he said. "The people who have become selfish. For years they have taken from the earth without giving anything back. The great spirits say the people must sacrifice. We must make a burnt offering of the most valued possession among us. The ashes of this offering shall then be scattered to the 4 points of the earth, the home of the winds. When this sacrifice is made, drought and famine will cease. Life will be restored to the earth and to the people." The people sang a song of thanks to the great spirits for telling them what they must do. "I'm sure it is not my new bow that the great spirits want," a warrior said. "Or my special blanket," a woman added, as everyone went to their teepees to talk and think over what the great spirits had asked. Everyone, that is, except she who is alone. She held her doll tightly to her heart. "You," she said, looking at the doll, "you are my most valued possession. It is you the great spirits want." And she knew what she must do. As the council fires died out and the teepee flags began to close, the small girl returned to the teepee, where she slept to wait. The night outside was still, except for the distant sound of the night bird with the red wings. Soon everyone in the teepee was asleep, except She Who Is Alone. Under the ashes of the teepee fire, one stick still glowed. She took it and quietly crept out into the night. She ran to the place on the hill where the great spirits had spoken to the shaman. Stars filled the sky, but there was no moon. "Oh, great spirits," She Who Is Alone said, "here is my warrior doll. It is the only thing I have from my family who died in this famine. It is my most valued possession. Please accept it." Then, gathering twigs, she started a fire with the glowing fire stick. The small girl watched as the twigs began to catch and burn. She thought of her grandmother and grandfather, her mother and father, and all the people, their suffering, their hunger, and before she could change her mind, she thrust the doll into the fire. She watched until the flames died down and the ashes had grown cold. Then, scooping up a handful, she who is alone scattered the ashes to the home of the winds, the north and the east, the south and the west. And there she fell asleep until the first light of the morning sun woke her. She looked out over the hill, and stretching out from all sides where the ashes had fallen, the ground was covered with flowers. Beautiful flowers, as blue as the feathers in the hair of the doll, as blue as the feathers of the bird who cries, "J, J, J." When the people came out of their teepees, they could scarcely believe their eyes. They gathered on the hill with she who is alone to look at the miraculous sight. There was no doubt about it. The flowers were a sign of forgiveness from the great spirits. And as the people sang and danced their thanks to the great spirits, a warm rain began to fall, and the land began to live again. From that day on, the little girl was known by another name, one who dearly loved her people. And every spring, the great spirits remember the sacrifice of a little girl and fill the hills and valleys of the land, now called Texas, with the beautiful blue flowers, even to this very day. And here we can see, I'll hold that up. We're gonna do some beautiful blue bonnets on our paintings this week in honor of springtime in Texas, and we're gonna make them look a lot like this. So I'm gonna leave my book out so you can see that flower. Now we're gonna need our paintings that we did last week. And if you're in school, you're gonna have a little plate of paint. We're gonna be using green to paint the stems of the flower. And blue and purple, or blue and violet, we're gonna mix those to create our blue bonnets. So I'm gonna make one flower so you can see how to do it, and you're gonna fill the bottom of your page with those beautiful blue bonnets. So if you're at home and don't have paint, you could do this with colored pencil or crayon just as easily. So, or if you have paint, you can do it like this. Now we're gonna use a little piece of cardboard. We're gonna use the long end to make the stem, and then we're gonna use the short end to make the flower petals. So to make a stem, I'm gonna dip this in the paint. I wanna make sure I cover the whole side of mine. I'm gonna start at the bottom, go up like that, and I think I wanna make it a little taller, so I'm gonna dip one more time. I'll have a nice, tall, beautiful blue bonnet. Now, the next thing you will do is wipe the green off the edge there just so it doesn't get onto my petals. Then I'm gonna dip this into, oh, I made a mistake. So, oh no, that's fine. So I'm gonna dip into my paint here. Now to make my blue bonnet petals, I'm gonna take my cardboard, put it down, and then smear it just like this. I'm gonna keep this side still, but then I'm gonna move this side. So if you see how I do that, I'm gonna take it and put it down and then smear. So I get a nice, that's just what the blue bonnet petals are shaped like. So I'm gonna do that all up the side of my, oh, dipped in the wrong paint. I'm gonna do that up the whole side of my stem that I made. Oh, and you can dip into the purple too if you wanna have a little blue-violet colored blue bonnet, which I think looks a little more realistic because blue bonnets to me kind of look like they have a little bit of purple or violet in them. So we're just gonna smear like that. So remember, the side that touches the stem, you want to keep it still, but the side farther away, you want to move out to create that shape of a blue bonnet. And I'm going to put one on top. Hold this still. Just like that. Now you can do more blue bonnets because we don't want to leave our painting empty. So we're going to do multiple blue bonnet flowers springing up. I'd say it'll look more interesting if you do different heights of flowers. We have some tall and some short. And that's how we're going to create our beautiful blue bonnets, the state flower of Texas. Hope you have fun doing this, and we'll see you next time.